Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and what an honor and a joy to have back with us today Bishop T.D. Jakes. He's pastor of the Dallas-based church, The Potter's House. He's an author, a preacher, a speaker, movie producer, and one of the great preachers in America. And Bishop, what a joy to have you back with us, my friend. How you doing? You're looking good.
I'm doing good, Perry. Thank you.
Well, listen, you get your fingers in everything, but this movie is absolutely fascinating. Heaven is for real. How'd you get involved in this?
Oh, I was really excited to get involved in it. Normally, we're pitched a lot of scripts from a lot of places and agents and people, but this one actually came while I was doing my day job. I was speaking for Ed Young here in Dallas, and he was having a pastor's conference, and Todd Burpo, of who the movie is about, is a pastor, and he attended the conference and walked up to me and told me, "I'm very interested in you being a producer. I'm thinking about taking my son's story to film." And I said, "What story?" And he said, "Heaven is for real." He said, "Haven't you read it?" 8 million people had read it, and I hadn't read it. So I downloaded it and read it, and it was absolutely fascinating.
Well, it's a true story. By the way, the movie's due to be released on the 16th. Is that correct, Bishop? That's
right.
All right. And it's about a young boy that went to heaven. I don't know how much of that you want to give away, but tell us a little bit about it.
This family has a parent's worst nightmare. Their child gets sick unto death, and they're driving through traffic trying to get him to the hospital, and then he gets on the table and has a near-death experience. Thankfully, he survived because this is a real story. But the odd thing was when he came out of the surgery, he came out talking about heaven and talking about people he met and things he saw. And some of the people that he mentioned were people that he didn't even know, that were like his grandfather, or his mother had a child before him that she lost, that they didn't discuss with the children, and he knew about it. And so this story has built from there. And the odd thing that's funny to me about it, Perry, is that his father, who is the pastor, was the biggest skeptic. He had a hard time really believing his son's story.
Wow. Well, it is an incredible film, and I want folks to know Heaven is for real. It'll be in the theaters coming up April 16th. You got to go see this. Bishop, what did that little boy's story mean to you as a pastor?
As a pastor, it's amazing. I wrestled with the whole story as a pastor. One, I definitely believe in heaven. There's no problem there. The thing that was odd about it is that this boy didn't really die. So that was really weird to me. But then I thought about Elijah went up in a chariot of fire, and he didn't die either. So I can't explain it from a theological perspective, but I sure am glad that we're talking about faith on a Friday night in a theater that would normally be talking about guns and violence and rape and killing.
Yeah. Boy, that is for sure. There seems to be a real interest in faith-based movies today. I mean, look what's happening out there. How are you responding to that?
It is an interest, and kudos and shouts out to all the people that are supporting faith-based films, because it gives us an opportunity to do more and to prove to Hollywood that there is an audience out there for this kind of film, and that it's possible to be able to touch people without nudity or gratuitous violence or unnecessary things that are negative. And so the more that we do that, the more effective we become, the more films we're going to see like this.
Do you think there's a hunger to know about heaven?
Oh, absolutely. I think whether you're Christian, Jewish, agnostic, or whatever you say that you are, there's no one who ever loved a loved one and lost them that they don't hope, wish, dream to see them again. And I'm glad we're talking about eternal life in any dimension or capacity, because when we begin to think about that, it determines how we live our lives right now.
What would you want to see happen with this film?
I would like to see this film be strong enough and powerful enough that it touch people's lives, that they begin to think about their lives and their faith and their families, that they regard life with more preciousness, and that they take spirituality more deeply, because I think that's really the catalyst to all that really matters.
You know, Bishop, I want to commend you, because you and others now are beginning to see it's time for Christians to get back involved in the arts and take it back, movie making being one of them. And to me, it's a refreshing move, don't you think?
Oh, I'm so excited about it. And I couldn't get there by myself without the help of all the people who really support these films and get behind these films. I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's why I'm excited for the opportunity. This is our chance up to bat. And Hollywood is really starting to get the message. They're not interested in faith, let's be real. They're interested in money. But they have given us a tool whereby we can reach the world in a much more effective way than we have in the past.
You know, it's been said media is the mission field to America, whether it's through the movies, radio, and television. You're on all of it. It is the tool that God's dropped in our hand to reach people today.
It's so critical. You know, I think every Sunday morning, and I'm blessed with a wonderful church, and I love that church, and it loves me. But when I look at how many people are streaming our service every Sunday morning, who watch it on television, who watch it on YouTube, you're talking millions of people compared to a handful of people. And so this is a great opportunity. And often without spending a lot of money, you can reach the world in new and exciting ways. I just can't get over it. It's amazing.
I'm afraid to ask you the right question, you'll start preaching. No. Let me go to that point. There is a hunger in our culture, as you well know, Bishop, and they're asking two questions. What is truth, and who can I trust? Right. Given those two questions, it seems to me it's the church's hour to rise up.
It is. It really is the church's hour to rise up and to offer truth, and to do it in a way that we can reach the broadest amount of people.
Your message is very encouraging to a lot of people. You help a lot of people to get up and get going. Are you surprised how many Christians these days seem to be down?
Oh my gosh, it's staggering. It's absolutely staggering.
What's that telling you?
I mean, the problems are complicated. The pain is intense. The families are shattering all across the board. And I worry, not only because the Christians are having problems, but a lot of times the pastors give oversimplistic answers. Just pray about it. Oh, as long as you're a Christian, it doesn't matter. Well, you can be saved in your spirit and be tormented in your mind. You can be a Christian and be emotionally dwarfed. There are areas that I think we really need to touch on in the area of discipleship that are broader than just soul winning, that deal with how I live my life while I wait on Christ's return.
I'm going to take a break. When I come back, it appears that the church, in some ways, even in the culture of America, is under attack. And yet, we want to push back, but we want to love. How do you push back and love at the same time? And that's a loaded question. You could probably preach for a week on it. But you get your guns loaded, and I'll be right back. Bishop T.D. Jakes is with us. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and our special guest today, what an honor to have with us, Bishop T.D. Jakes, speaker, pastor, author, movie producer, and yet at the bottom of his heart, he is a soul winner, and love this guy and his message. Bishop, as we were going into the break, as you know, just by the way you preach, you understand that it seems that Christians and Christianity is under attack. There's a tremendous pushback. How do we resist that and yet at the same time be seen as people who really love the fallen and not seen as people that are intolerant of people that don't believe like us?
You know, one of the tragedies that has created this conundrum is that we have forsaken the very mediums that you and I were just talking about. As long as we don't have Christian journalists in abundance, as long as we don't have news reporters that reflect our faith, then we don't have control of how we are represented. So that's part of the problem. The whole church could use a PR firm.
Are you called to do another ministry?
Exactly. Our image has been shattered because we've allowed other people to tell our stories. So that's part of the problem. And then sometimes the people who are quickest to grab the mic and speak for us do not speak with the heart of Christ. Though they may be right on the issues, they often are presented in an angry and dogmatic way, and we suffer. The church suffers by and large because our spokespersons are not always the best reflection of what we're trying to say. Yeah. I do think that, you know what I'm saying?
I hear you loud and clear, yeah. In fact, I have a little motto in our radio studio that says, lead with compassion, follow with clarity.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something that I think we really need to train ministers and spokespersons going forward, that when you are in another arena, the language, the colloquialisms in which you use have to be altered a bit. Paul said that he became all things to all people, that some might be saved. And I think that sometimes when we take our pulpit jargon into the secular media, we do it at the expense of clarity and often lose the debate because we don't have the diplomacy to debate on a contemporary stage. We're used to talking to people who say amen. We're not used to crafting the conversation in such a way that we can reach a broader audience, and I think that's something we really need to work on.
Boy, that is very well said. You know, your messages are, you're a very anointed preacher. How do you prepare for your messages?
You know, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, my messages are outflow of my own devotion. I don't go to the Word to feed the people. I go to the Word to feed me. And then those things that nourish me and help me become the fuel that I use to share with the church. You know, when Jesus got ready to feed the 5,000, he gave the bread to the disciples. And I think sometimes we are not really consuming or benefiting from the bread that we pass because we don't really touch it ourselves. But I try to touch the Word myself, and those things that bring medicine and bring healing and bring clarity to me, then I'm very comfortable with sharing with them. And so I go in for devotions. I try to understand the context of the text. Often when it's a Bible story, I try to look at the story through all of the eyes, whether it is the woman at the well, what did that look like to her? What did it look like from Jesus' perspective? What did it look like when the disciples approached? There are many narratives going on in the same story. And when I study the Word, I try to let all of them have their view.
Very well said. Who has influenced you in the past?
Oh, wow. You know, whenever I'm asked that question, it's kind of embarrassing because everybody who really touched my life is not famous at all. My mother, my father, my Sunday school teacher when I was a little boy, Miss Inez Strickland, just Miss Nellie White, people you would never know. You would never know these people because I lived in Charleston. So big name, Charleston, West Virginia, big name preachers never came through our town, hardly ever. And I think Billy Graham came through there a few times and R.W. Shambach came through there. And I mean, it shut down the whole town. Wow. Yeah. So I think the best heroes today, we tend to make celebrities heroes and mentors, but I think the best heroes you can have are people that you can call on the phone and that you can see every day and who live their lives in normal ways and teach you how to survive.
Boy, that's beautiful. So, Bishop, where do you think the church is going today?
Woo, that's interesting.
Preach it.
Yeah. That question caught me off guard.
No, all right. No, share it through your eyes now.
Yeah, you know, from my view, I think that the church has a real issue that we must confront with reaching the next generation. I think that our parents did a much better job of infusing faith into us than our generation has done with our children. We've raised a group of children who are not as Christ-centered, who do not respect the Word. We respected the Word, my generation, even when we didn't obey it, we still respected it.
Right.
we have a generation today that feels comfortable with challenging the authenticity of faith in general. And I think it is in part because we were so busy making a living that we didn't make a life, and we have not effectively influenced our children, and that scares me.
Have we lost the fear of God?
I think to a large degree, many people have, and I think that's because they have lost the awareness of God, that they have relegated God off to something that those Christian people talk about, or those church people talk about, never recognizing that God is available to all of us.
Wow. What about reverence for God? Have we made God a buddy and a cool dude instead of Lord?
Yeah, I think that we have done that with all authorities, God included. Your first view from a very carnal perspective of authority is in your own family. And because the family has become the wild, wild west, where everybody does whatever they want to do, and there is no structure and there is no order, then when we go to school, we defy authority. Then when we try to work a job, we defy authority. And then when we go to church, we say, who is God? I don't feel like that. Because your first encounter with authority is on a very natural level. Babies aren't born worshiping God and taking communion, but they are born with discipline and family and regimentation. And if you lose that class, it becomes difficult in all the subsequent classes to understand that authority is not there to abuse you, it is there to protect you.
Wow, that is so well said. Do you weep for America?
Yeah, I'm concerned about our country, and beyond our country, I'm concerned about the world. In a global society where you and I can share a moment like this and people can watch it in Afghanistan, I think we have to have a global view of the world at large, because if we only pray, God bless America, and not God bless the world, then those that are not blessed will come over and bomb us. I think we need a global understanding of faith, and it certainly includes our country, but because we are so interdependent economically, socially, technology on other parts of the world, I think we need a global prayer.
Boy, that's beautiful. Where do you think we are in the scope of prophecy?
Well, first of all, let me do a disclaimer. I'm not a prophecy expert. I certainly am not. But in my limited view and understanding of prophetic texts, I really don't see much more that would have to happen for Christ to return. I really don't. The things that we scoffed at when we were children, how could that be? How could you go to the grocery store and not spend money, or a mark? They could just take a mark and you spend money. All of those things that seemed ridiculous when I was 5 are quite plausible now. You could buy product with a mark. So many things that the Bible, mothers against daughters, fathers against sons, the destruction of the family. We're living it right now. Men becoming lovers of their own selves, gluttony, greed, excess. It's everything that the Bible said, to a large degree, is happening right in front of us. Wow.
If you were given the world microphone, what would be your message today?
Love. Love. I think that the absence of love creates the avenues for hate. I think we've lost the ability to love and respect each other. We do not have to agree to survive. You can have your perspective and I have mine, and we can still breathe the same air. The death of civility, we've lost the ability to disagree and still get along. And that really worries me on all fronts. Everybody is so angry about everything that we can't. It's like 2 fire departments rushing to a burning house and fighting over whose jurisdiction it is. And the house goes up in smoke. And I see that in Congress. I see that in churches. I see that in families. We're so busy fighting individuals that we don't confront the issues that are dangerous to us all. And if I had the mic, in a global sense, I think to preach love is to preach God. And I think that would be the universal message that would give us the clarity that we need to be able to survive the turbulence of the times we live in. And I speak passionately about that because I'm really worried. I have a grandchild, and I don't know that my grandchild will come up in a world like I knew it. And it's very disturbing for me.
Boy, that is very telling. One other question, Bishop, and it's a little touchy, but I want your response on it. We as the church, the American church, Christians around the world actually, we haven't come up with the antidote for the homosexual. We haven't figured out a way to minister to them effectively. And yet Jesus died for them too. What would you say? First of all,
I'm amazed at the question. The precision of the question puts the onus of responsibility on the church and off of the homosexual, which I hardly ever hear. But I think you're absolutely right that somewhere along the way we have not been effective with the solutions that we've offered and the messages that we have conveyed. And I think we need a Jerusalem council to sit around the table and really discuss how to really effectively help people to change their lives and move forward in their lives, and to better understand how we bring our theology into the context of the of the human experience, and do it without alienating the very people that we're trying to reach, because we're supposed to reach everybody and love everybody and minister to everybody. And I don't think we've done a great job with that. And I'm so proud of your question, because generally the question is always putting the burden on the unbeliever or on the sinner or on this one or on that one, when the job is ours to find a way to present the gospel in a way that we don't lose people that Christ died for and loves.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm just a little upset with the fact that, well, we love the sinner, but we hate the sin. Baloney. We haven't come up with an antidote for this problem.
God bless you. You just went way up the thermometer in my mind with respect. You're the first person I've ever heard say that. And I want to interview you because I so agree with what you said.
Well, Bishop, you're a delight and an inspiration. Thank you for your time. We highly value it. And I know you live on a pretty tight schedule. And thank you for this movie. I pray and believe that it will touch a lot of people. Out of the innocence of this young boy, many could come to Christ.
Thank you. I'm so excited about it. And I want everybody to come out opening weekend, celebrate Easter in the theater as well as in the church, and pray that somebody will come into a loving knowledge of Jesus Christ.
Hey, come to Oregon. We'll take you salmon fishing.
I look forward to it. I'd love it.
Okay. God bless you, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll be right back.